Hello, all. To the non YouTube content creators and to the YouTube content creators alike, these channels are literally like open canvases, and we are the artists, and we fill those canvases with whatever our visions are. And sometimes these ideas just come out of nowhere and they coalesce when you least expect them. Earlier, I was listening to Sheed's channel. Sheed talks about money and finance and to some degree relationships, but more so how those relate to money and finances and coordinating those and just getting people to think about their lives and their later lives, how they're living, and how they're going to live later on. Sheed has been here on my channel and we've talked about money, and there are a number of things that he has said that have impressed me. One of them is that he got turned on to life insurance and he started getting educated about that at an early age. While most of the rest of us were thinking about, well, I was thinking about basketball and girls and music and the latest fashions. He was being ganged up on life insurance, and it's very, very impressive to think about that, and it's very, very impressive to hear what he's teaching his own children right now. The first time I ever heard about a mortgage, or the first time I remember it clicking in my psyche, was I was dating someone shortly after high school. I think she had a business background, and she mentioned a mortgage, and that's when it kind of clicked in my psyche. And then it really didn't click in my psyche again until I picked up the Rich Dad Poor Dad books in graduate school, and I started to fathom and ponder how much of an important term that is. And in the book, Robert Kiyosaki, well, he tells lots of stories. That book is more about context versus content, but he was learning, according to him, he was learning things early, as was him and his friend Mike. Now, there was a lot of debate in terms of his skeptics and his critics about whether or not his rich dad was actually real, and he's received his share of criticism for being a scammer and a shyster and those kinds of things. But for a lot of us, that was a very, very important book because it caused us to look at the world and it caused us to look at money in ways that we hadn't. And I remember asking my father as I was reading those books, because I was living with him at the time, Dad, did grandma and my grandfather, did they ever talk to you about mortgages? And I remember Dad saying, "Nah, they weren't thinking like that. They weren't thinking that way." And my home buying experience is something I largely went through myself. There was no formal prior training in my family. So I was, in essence, reinventing the wheel myself. And another relative is going through this right now who is slightly older than me. And I'm going to keep that person anonymous because they did not agree to be mentioned. But in any case, it's impressive to me that Sheed is teaching these things to his children, and it's amazing to me that he was getting gamed up on life insurance at a young age. I believe that it matters when you start to receive key pieces of information. It doesn't necessarily shape the outcome of your life, but it can impact your journey. And individuals who get key pieces of information early, they clearly have an advantage over those who get that information later. That's in large part, well, that's partially what my book project, The Engineers, A Western New York Basketball Story, is about. I started learning the game late. Some kids started learning it early from very, very experienced mentors, and those kids had advantages and they started to experience success on the basketball court much earlier because they were getting the training earlier and they were getting it very, very stringently. I'm going to read a passage here from Rich Kid, Smart Kid. When I decided to do this upload, I wondered where my copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad was. It's around here somewhere. It's in a box, probably. So I'm going to read a passage from Rich Kid, Smart Kid. Robert wrote this with Sharon L. Letcher, who was a certified CPA. She's a CPA. Sharon Letcher is a CPA. I don't want to misquote what a CPA is. I want to say a certified public accountant or a certified personal accountant. Alonzo Hall, if you're out there listening to this, let me know. A CPA, what does that stand for? This passage is from chapter 2, which is entitled, Is Your Child a Genius? And this subsection is entitled, What is Your Financial IQ? On this channel now, I talk about current events, education, money, and financial literacy. So this falls under all of that. Writing, authorship, this falls under all of that. And this is not a long passage. So what is your financial IQ? So how do you measure people's financial IQ? Do you measure it by how big their paycheck is, their net worth, the kind of car they drive, or the size of their house? Several years later, long after the discussion about Andy the Ant being a genius, I asked my rich dad what he thought financial IQ meant. He quickly replied, financial intelligence is not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep and how hard that money works for you. Yet, as times went on, he refined his definition of financial intelligence. He once said, you know your financial intelligence is increasing if, as you get older, your money is buying you more freedom, happiness, health, and choices in life. He went on to explain that many people made more money as they got older, but their money only bought them less freedom. Less freedom in the form of having bigger bills to pay. Having bigger bills meant the person had to work harder to pay them. To Rich Dad, this was not financially intelligent. He also explained that he saw many people making a lot of money, but their money did not make them happier. To him, that was not financially intelligent. Why work for money and be unhappy, he said. If you must work for money, find a way to work and be happy. That is financial intelligence. When it came to health, he would say too many people work too hard for money and slowly kill themselves in the process. Why work hard, sacrificing the mental and physical well-being of your family as well as yourself? That is not financially intelligent. When it came to health, he also said there is no such thing as a sudden heart attack. Heart attacks and other diseases such as cancer take time to develop. They are caused by lack of exercise, a poor diet, and not enough joy in one's life over extended periods of time. Of the three, I think lack of joy is the greatest cause of heart attacks and disease, he said. Too many people think about working harder rather than about how to have more fun and enjoy this great gift of life. When it came to choices, he would say this: I know the first class section of an airplane arrives at the same time as the economy section. That is not the issue. The issue is, do you have the choice of flying first class or flying economy? Most people in the economy section have no choice. My rich dad went on to explain that financial intelligence gave a person more choices in life by saying money is power because more money gives you more choices. But it was his lesson about happiness that he stressed more and more as he got older. As he neared the end of his life and he had more money than he had dreamed possible, He restated again and again, money does not make you happy. Never think that you will be happy when you get rich. If you are not happy while getting rich, chances are you will not be happy when you do get rich. So whether you are rich or poor, make sure you are happy. Those of you who read my other books realize that my rich dad did not measure his financial IQ in traditional financial measurements. In other words, he was never really fixated on how much money he had, or his net worth, or the size of his portfolio. If I were to define what financial intelligence brought him, it would be freedom. He loved having the freedom to work or to not work, and the freedom to choose with whom he worked. He loved the freedom to buy whatever he wanted without worrying about the price. He loved the health, happiness, and choices he could afford because he was free. He loved the freedom and financial ability he had to donate to charity to help causes in which he believed. And instead of complaining about politicians and feeling powerless to change the system, he had politicians coming to him seeking his advice and hoping for his campaign contributions. He loved having power over them. They call me, I don't call them. Every politician wants a poor person's vote, but they don't listen to the poor person. They really can't afford to, and that is tragic, he said. Yet, what he cherished most was the free time that money bought him. He loved having the time to watch his children grow up and work on projects that interested him, whether or not they made money. So my rich dad measured his financial IQ in time more than money. The later years of his life were the most joyous because he spent most of his time giving his money away rather than trying to conserve and hang on to it. He seemed to have as much fun giving it away as a philanthropist as he did making it as a capitalist. He lived a rich, happy, and generous life. Most important, he had a life of boundless freedom, and that is how he measured his financial IQ. So again, I was looking for my copy of the original Rich Dad Poor Dad book. I can't find it, so I dug through my books and I found this copy of Rich Kid, Smart Kid that someone gave to me. And this book is about teaching younger people about financial literacy / money, much the same way that Sheed is teaching his young people. And it's just significant when you get this information early. A lot of kids are looking at money and looking at jobs simply in the context of going to work for someone else, but not in terms of freedom. And that's a different way of looking at the world. If you're not subbed to She's channel, I would recommend it. He does a lot of insightful live streams, and he comes over here to my channel sometimes. So that's a little bit of education, a little bit of financial education, financial literacy, and that was a passage from Rich Kid, Smart Kid. So that whole section we just heard about regarding the politicians and whose advice they seek and whose control they submit to, someone has talked about that before. Can you let me know in the comments section who that is? Many people cannot agree on what elections are about and what politicians truly value, but someone else has said that before, besides Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad. This is Big Discussions 76, my original channel. First of all, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. If you want to donate something, that information is below in the description box. And you can also leave a super thanks. Finally, please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer with 2 blogs and a book project on the way. And with that, I think I'll wrap this up. Oftentimes when you make content, you have a plan for what's going to go up and when. I think This one just jumped the line in front of some of the other pieces I have coming out. So everyone stay safe out there. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude, and always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.